It was not just William that Harald had to contend with. His exiled brother Tostig had managed to persuade Harald Hardrada of Norway to invade England from the north. Hardrada defeated the local nobles and took York. Harald raced up north to deal with this new threat to his realm.
Stamford Bridge was really the culmination of Viking attacks which had been going on for a long, long time. But by the time 1066, it's really now King Harald Hardrada of Norway who is the problem. And he decides he's going to try his luck. So Harold learns of this, Harold of England, who is of course in the south expecting the Norman invasion, and now he's got a threat on two fronts. So what does he do? Does he sit in the south and just let the Vikings do what they like? No, he decides he's going to march north. So he gathers what troops he can. He obviously sends out for troops to meet him on the road north, and he force marches in 5 days up to York. He camps outside, and then on the 25th of September, he marches through and out towards Stamford Bridge.
At Stamford Bridge, Harold's aim was to catch the Viking invaders off guard with the speed of his advance northwards. To achieve this, Harold used the fyrd to swell the ranks of his army. The fyrd were a militia raised from the common men in the area under attack. They were expected to equip themselves, and this gave Harold an instant, but poorly equipped and untrained body of men. A much more formidable part of his army were his professional soldiers, called the housecarls. These fearsome Saxon warriors may have numbered as many as 3,000 household troops. Clad in chainmail, carrying sword and spear, they would have been amongst the finest troops in Western Europe. They shared many similarities with the Viking warriors, and this is best displayed in their preferred weapon, the mighty two-handed Dane Axe. The Dane Axe was introduced by the Vikings in the 10th century and rapidly gained popularity among the Scandinavian lands, including England, which had a heavy Danish influence in this period. Fixed onto a long shaft and possessing a wide, sharp, hardened edge, the Dane Axe possessed a powerful cutting ability. I travelled to Kent to see how the design and manufacture of this weapon made it so devastating. Owen!
How you doing?
Yeah, good. That's what I've come to see. Tell me about that.
It's a Dane Axe, a modern-made Dane Axe. 2.5 pounds of very sharp steel on an ash haft.
Right.
It's quite a devastating weapon.
So let's go and see how it's manufactured.
Come into the forge, we'll have a look.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, so we've got a starting block for an axe here. This is just a rough forged piece to start with, but we're going to continue forging the axe at this stage.
You've gone from that to that?
Yeah, I've punched a hole in to make an eye. And I'd like you to help me widen out this blade. It looks like an axe at the moment, but it's a really inelegant lump of metal. And we're gonna thin it out and draw it out. So we're gaining length and width in a nice controlled manner by smacking it hard with a sledgehammer.
Okay, brilliant.
To start with, just try and hit the flat of the material. If you're hitting it, hit it flat along there.
Pretty simple to do.
Yeah, it's relatively simple forming. So I think you should have a go.
I would love to have a go.
We're just flattening out the blade. Okay. Yep. Okay, I'm going to put it back in. So it's still quite a hard material, isn't it? You can feel it moving under the hammer.
Yep.
But it's not like plasticine by any means.
No, not at all.
That's good. Thin's important because we don't want it to weigh too much. We're trying to stretch that small amount of material up to a nice big axe shape. And it's also important because it's going to be something that wants to pass through things.
It's got to be quite fine.
If it's too fat, it wouldn't work as a cutting tool. Okay. So I'm ready to quench this.
What are we going to expect when it goes in?
Smoke, fire.
Smoke on fire.
Hopefully no cracking sounds.
Yeah. Whoa. Any cracking sounds?
Nope, I don't want to tempt anything though. So I'm just going to lay that to cool down.
So here it is.
One Dane Axe.
One Dane Axe, look at it. This would do some damage, wouldn't it?
You've got 2.5 pounds of steel directly behind your cutting edge, going fast, and it will do an awful lot of damage.
Yeah, in the right hands and with the right force behind it, it would pack a punch.
A formidable, powerful tool.
Serious piece of kit, but looking forward to testing it. So I'm going to give you those.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to go and see what damage it's going to do.
Oh, it'll do damage. Have fun.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Back at Stamford Bridge, with the Viking army split in two by the River Derwent, the Dane Axe proved its worth. As Harold's Saxon army overwhelmed the smaller Viking force on the west side of the bank, a solitary Norseman barred their way across the narrow bridge, which linked the two sides of the river. Probably using a Dane axe, this lone Viking, or so the story goes, managed to kill over 20 Saxons until a cunning English soldier who had floated under the bridge in a makeshift boat disabled him with a spear thrust delivered from underneath the fearsome warrior.
So of course the battle is fought. Hardrada is hit in the throat by an arrow. Tostig is killed. People from the ships finally arrive in full armour, pretty tired. They come into the battle with a rage that used to be known as a berserker rage, I suppose, or that type of anger, but they are dealt with as well, and it is a great victory for Harold.
In addition to the story of the lone Viking at Stamford Bridge, other sources also allude to the power of the Dane axe. The Bayeux Tapestry, for example, has depictions of an axe cleaving men, but how powerful was the Dane axe in combat? We put our new Dane axe to the test. Well, Orc, this is truly a horrible weapon. Look at it. I mean, it's simple, but it's just horrible, isn't it?
A weapon of shock and awe.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Dane axe.
Yep, Dane axe, broad axe, long axe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. An axe of destruction.
A big axe.
Yeah. I mean, there's evidence and records that they say that a man could, cleave a cavalryman off his horse, through his horse, cut the horse in half with this, used at Stamford Bridge. But how fearsome was it?
In fairness, I think a lot of it's in the mind, because with you stood there holding it, it's making me slightly nervous.
Yeah, really?
It's one of those weapons. You see somebody stood there with it, and you've got to remember as well, quite large men.
Yeah.
Just standing there, and it's a fear tactic.
Sure.
It's, if you come near me, this is death.
Terror
this is
weapon.
death, literally on a stick.
So, in the heat of the battle, people everywhere, it's absolute carnage, it's hectic. How efficient were they? Were they actually that good?
Recorded, we don't know. From practice, not fantastic, really. Yeah, great for the shock and awe, terrifying people. The problem is with an axe like this, once you've buried it into somebody, you've got to hope that you've got a backup, because otherwise that head's now useless and you've got people bearing down on you.
Yeah. Would chainmail stop that?
Do you know, I'm not going to edge my bets on this one. I'd like on the one hand to say yes, but I'm really hoping it doesn't. I want to bring in a man that's, shall we say, is large enough to pull it off and knows a little about what he's doing with it.
Okay, great, excellent. Well, I can't wait to see it in action. That was some serious whack there, Bear. It's kind of broken some rivets and it's gone into the jerkin, and I mean his head moved. We've definitely broken a bone in there, if not his neck, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. The chainmail did its job, essentially. What it's designed to do is stop cuts.
Okay. But the force of that would have put the guy on the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
Broken his neck.
The guy's got a broken neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he's not got a broken neck, he's at least got some broken bones, whether it be a clavicle or something else.
So it does sort of, it does work then. It does work in respect that it stops the cuts.
Yeah, it stops in essentially what it's supposed to do, which is stop a cutting blow.
Yeah.
But as far as like any kind of, you know, percussion or concussive blow,
Not a chance. Can we see Bear go for this without then any protection and see what damage it does?
I don't know about anybody else, but I would absolutely love to see what this does.
Over to you, Bear. Serious damage, Orc. Look at that. I mean, that hasn't just gone through. That's gone through to the other side.
Everything.
That's gone through his spine.
Severed absolutely everything.
Look at that. Look how far that's gone in. I mean, literally, we've cut him nearly in half.
Yep.
That is impressive. I mean, that's killed a guy, killed a horse. You know, I mean, that's finished, done.
Yeah, you're not getting up from it.
I mean, that was serious thud as well, and it looked like it just glided in like butter.
Yeah. Even with clothing over the top, you know, a linen tunic or something, no protection, it's going to go straight through, and that's the shock and awe that we were talking about earlier.
So it must have just been blood, guts, intestines just spilt everywhere. I mean, must have been absolute carnage.
Yeah, it wouldn't have smelt nice, it wouldn't have looked nice, and you'd be terrified. You know, you see your friends ending up looking like this.